Good day, everyone. Today we're going to try and see if we can make a drug-free recovery from schizophrenia. We're going to go through a series of steps you can take that reduce your PANSS scores, your positive and negative symptom score of schizophrenia, and we're going to see if we can match the reduction in PANSS scores that an antipsychotic has. In this case, we'll use risperidone as an example. Risperidone is a fairly effective antipsychotic, and it has a 56% reduction in positive and negative symptom scores of schizophrenia. So we're going to try and match that reduction using natural supplements and lifestyle interventions to see if you can make a drug-free recovery from schizophrenia. So wish us luck, and we're going to start off with a few steps, and these steps are in no particular order. To get started, I will mention a supplement you've probably already heard of, fish oil. Fish oil has a 20% effect on positive and negative symptom scores of schizophrenia. It reduces them by 20%. If you take out the placebo effect, it's only a 10% effect. But as you'll see when we add it all up at the end, we want to include one placebo effect for risperidone and one for natural methods. So we will keep this placebo effect in. So it has a 20% effect. If you add some antioxidants, if you add some vitamin E and some vitamin C, in this case, the one study used 400 IUs, 400 international units of vitamin E, and 500 milligrams a day of vitamin C, along with a regular dose amount. I think most bottles of fish oil say 2 teaspoons of fish oil, so the regular amount on the bottle of fish oil. And if you added the vitamin C and vitamin E, you get a 7% antioxidant boost. So the total effect size is 27%. If you take cod liver oil combines the antioxidant effect with the fish oil effect, though it does have a lower amount of vitamin or of the omega-3 EPA, and EPA is the omega-3 we're looking for. But cod liver oil should combine the effect of the antioxidants and the fish oil, but you might want to just go with regular fish oil and some vitamin C and some vitamin E. And that's the first step. The next step, again in no particular order, I will mention is zinc. Zinc has a 30% effect on positive and negative scores, PANSS scores. So positive and negative PANSS scores are reduced by 30% by taking zinc. Cognitive scores of the PANSS score are only reduced by 18%, but we'll have another method to boost cognitive scores a little bit later. But you can take zinc. I recommend 25 milligrams a day of zinc for about 6 weeks. There's a slight risk of a low red blood cell count due to zinc interfering with copper, the amount of copper in the body. So you should watch yourself if you start getting lightheaded or something. Maybe stop taking the zinc. But I did take it, and it helped me quite a bit. So I do recommend zinc for a 30% average reduction in positive symptoms of schizophrenia. So do give zinc a try. In researching schizophrenia, I came across benefits for a ketogenic diet. A ketogenic diet has a 7 to 55% average effect size, depending on which study you look at. So there's a 7 to 55% reduction in positive and negative symptom scores of schizophrenia by taking or by consuming a ketogenic diet. You may be able to achieve a result similar to this. I'm not sure if it's the exact same thing, but you can try going gluten-free. Gluten-free reduces inflammation in the brain, and there are some studies showing that gluten consumption is linked to schizophrenia. But if you want the well-studied variables, the well-studied methods to reducing PANSS scores, or the more studied way is going full ketogenic, and you get a 7 to 55% reduction in PANSS scores in a number of studies that have been done using the ketogenic diet to reduce schizophrenia symptoms. There is weight gain is a positive. You lose weight on a ketogenic diet. There is a slight decrease in lifespan associated with going on a ketogenic diet and staying on it for a long time. So there's a 12% reduction in lifespan that has been found if you stay on a ketogenic diet forever. Though I think it would be worth it if that leads to a recovery from schizophrenia. But do take some time and research all of these supplements and side effects of these supplements yourself from WebMD, Healthline, and other sources. So don't just take my word for some of these things. But a ketogenic diet does have a 7 to 55% reduction in PAN scores, and all the studies are linked below. Before starting on the next step, I recommend you initiate an exercise routine. An exercise routine boosts your cognitive ability by 30% in schizophrenia. It gets rid of a lot of the cobwebs in your brain and allows you to function at a cognitive level similar to a non-schizophrenic or similar to before you develop schizophrenia. So do start an exercise routine for this 30% boost, mostly aerobic exercise, some weight training. They did 3 times a week for 20 to 60 minutes each session in one of the studies I looked at. If you are overweight, before you start an exercise routine, it might be a good idea to lose some weight, and you can do that by counting calories. You can get an app such as MyFitnessPal. It takes about 3 minutes a day to input all of your food, and you can scientifically reduce your weight and then start running or jogging or using an elliptical, or you can do an exercise routine without losing weight. But I do recommend an exercise routine before we or you begin the next step, which is staying occupied or keeping busy, and it helps to have a higher functioning mind before you start assuming a busier lifestyle. And exercise also helps you stay busy too. Next step I'm going to mention is not a supplement you can take, but is a lifestyle intervention. It's staying busy. If you are busy, your mental health is a lot better. And in this case, it is really a lot better, because if you are midway busy in according to the profile of occupational engagement in people with schizophrenia, or the POSE test. If you're midway busy in this test, and the test will be linked below, you get a 23% reduction in your positive symptom scores of schizophrenia. If you're highly occupied, you get a 40% reduction in your positive symptom scores of schizophrenia. Now, being occupied includes things like having a robust routine, being socially engaged, having meaningful things that you do during that day, reflecting well on your day, having variations in your environment, such as going to a store or going to a school or going to a workplace. So variations in environment, and being able to initiate tasks by yourself, or at the prodding of someone else, I suppose. So being able to initiate tasks, but being highly occupied, and church would be a good way to do this too, but you really need to think about going to school, volunteering, getting a job, and getting a job or volunteering in a position where you are socially engaged, where you are doing meaningful work, where you are at a variation of places. So again, if you are highly occupied, you have a 23% reduction, or if you are midway occupied, low occupation, no benefit. Midway occupied, 23% reduction in positive scores of schizophrenia. Highly occupied, 40% reduction in your symptom scores of schizophrenia. So this is an important way for you to recover, is to get occupied. The next intervention I'll mention is Raloxifene. Raloxifene does require a prescription, but it is not an antipsychotic. It's an estrogen mimic. It acts as an estrogen in your brain and in your liver and bones, but not in your breasts or any other areas. And it provides a 9 to 16% reduction in your PANSS scores. And they took 60 milligrams a day for 12 weeks in one study. And all of these effects of zinc is retained. The effects of fish oil is largely retained. You can go 4 months on fish oil, 4 months off fish oil, 4 months on fish oil, 4 months off fish oil, and the effect is retained, largely retained in zinc. You might have to go back on zinc after a while, but it's retained for however long the studies were done for, which is usually about a year or 6 months or something. So the effects of zinc and fish oil are largely retained. Raloxifene, I think, is again largely retained. Occupation, you probably have to stay occupied to keep that benefit going. But now we will go on and add up the effect sizes and see if we can match the effect size of risperidone. Now we will add up the effect sizes. We'll do some math. Hopefully this switches to pay-per-view. All right, so now we're looking at my paper here. You can see we're going to take the low end of the effect sizes for each of the variables. So we'll have 27% for fish oil, 30% for zinc, 7% for ketogenic, 23% for midway occupation, 9% for raloxifene. That's the low end effect sizes. Multiplying all these effect sizes together to an average PANSS score, positive symptom score of 32. You multiply those all together, you get 10.65 PANSS score after the intervention. 10.65 divided by 32. So 10.65 is after your PANSS score after intervention. 32 was before intervention of your positive symptom score. That equals a effect size of 67%. So that's very good. That's more than risperidone at 56% average effect size. So that's the low end of the effect size of all these natural interventions. Now we go to the high end of the effect size. We have 27%, again, average effect size of the studies for fish oil. 30%, again, average effect size for zinc. 55%, high-end effect size for ketogenic diet. 40% effect size for highly occupied. 16% effect size for raloxifene. You add up all these numbers, you get a final PANSS score of 3.71. 3.71 divided by 32 equals 0.12. You multiply, you convert that to a percentage, and you get an 88% reduction in PANSS scores. So the 0.12 was your remaining percent, and then you convert that to 88%. So that's the high-end effect size. Now, unfortunately, in the PANSS score, you cannot have a PANSS score of below 7 for the positive symptom score. But as you can see, the 88% effect size is more than effective enough to reduce you to the minimum PANSS score. Now, if you take out raloxifene, if you do not take raloxifene, which is the estrogen mimetic that requires a prescription, you have a 64% effect size on the low end and an 84% effect size on the high end. If you take out that last variable, the 9% for the low end effect size, or the 16% for the high end effect size, you still have a 64% on the low end of the effect size without Raloxifene. If you cut out the occupational benefit, if you cut it down to half the benefit, so instead of 23%, you're getting 11.5%. So if you cut it down to 11.5%, you still get, on the low end of the calculation, 58%. That's without Raloxifene and cutting the occupational benefit in half. You get a 58% effect size in reducing your positive symptom score of schizophrenia. That is still better than risperidone. Risperidone, again, is a 56% effect size. So you can see that a natural recovery from schizophrenia, according to these calculations, is possible. Now, you may be a less strong or stronger responder, so these numbers might not match up with you, because these are the averages of studies, the averages of studies on the low end, the averages of studies on the high end. So we're looking at the average effect of various studies, and there are high and low responders within these groups. So you may not respond as well as the 58% benefit, or the low end benefit of 64% without the Raloxifene. So it may still not work for you. In which case, you can consider taking a low dose of an antipsychotic if you're still wedded to being drug-free. CBD oil, the oil from marijuana, at 800 milligrams a day. CBD oil was shown to be just as effective as the second most effective antipsychotic. So you can probably take less than that 800 milligrams a day of CBD oil. But if you want to stay drug-free, you can try CBD oil in reducing your symptoms, because it has been shown to be just as effective as an antipsychotic, as one of the most effective antipsychotics in a couple studies. So you can try CBD oil, but if you don't want to do CBD oil, a low-dose antipsychotic may still be necessary, especially until you get that occupational benefit of being highly occupied. So you may need it to calm you down, get over a crisis, get occupied, get the fish oil, get the exercise, get the zinc. Try Raloxifene, probably not the Raloxifene, but you can try it. And because it does need a prescription, but you can use CBD oil or a low-dose antipsychotic until you get that occupational benefit and you get your life straightened out of it. I have personally tried the zinc, the fish oil, and going gluten-free. I may try a ketogenic diet. I'm trying to be highly occupied. So some of these tips have actually worked for me in my real battle with schizophrenia. So it's not just me saying these things are good, but I have some experience with the fish oil, the zinc, and going gluten-free. I will try the ketogenic diet, and I am trying to be more occupied. So I will be putting out some more videos onto YouTube to up my occupational game. And hopefully, perhaps next year or a couple of years later, thinking about going to school or getting a job if YouTube doesn't keep me occupied enough to get that benefit. But I have tried a number of these interventions myself, and they have worked. So as you can see by the numbers, a drug-free recovery from schizophrenia is possible if you get occupied, if you take care of yourself. I know a lot of doctors may have given up on you, maybe some family members have given up on you, but I haven't given up on you, and I think the science points out that you shouldn't give up on yourself, because as you can see from the math we did today, that a drug-free recovery from schizophrenia and generally a total recovery from schizophrenia is possible. People do make a recovery, and if a complete recovery is not possible, then a partial recovery is certainly quite possible indeed, though I do know some people will be chronically sick until some new intervention or new method of treatment, not highlighted here today or by the medical community, comes to light. But as you can see, we do have a chance, a good chance, using the interventions we know today, recovery is possible. And so don't lose hope. And please like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel, and drop a comment if you feel so inclined. Thank you very much.